Hey everybody, what's going on? December 19th, 2015, end of the year. We have v2.1 PTU is out. It is out, and it has not done shit to the game. But, we've got the AEGS Saber, we've got a flyable Freelancer. Actually, technically this Saber's flyable. I looked in the game files, it's all there, it's ready to go. Just probably some nitpicky odds and ends, like, remembering to put the engines in. By the way, CIG, you forgot to put the engines on the damn thing. Uh, just pointing that out. But so we're gonna do a walk around. We're gonna talk about the ship. We're gonna talk about the actual stats as they sit in the game files right now. Why? Because the game files are where the rubber meets the road. It's where the developers actually put the changes in. It's not the website bullshit, not the concept art bullshit. It's what it is right now, and that's gonna be closer than what the files say it should be. So we have the Saber in front of a Gladius. You can see a little bit bigger, at least from this profile. It's in front of a glaive. Obviously, they painted the glaive red because it's as big as the fucking barn. I mean, if you can't hit a glaive, you can't hit shit. Not that big, but it's big. We have an Aurora LN, a 350R, a Super Hornet. In the background, far in the background, we have what looks to be a partially loaded Connie Phoenix. Apparently, we have run out of VRAM, and it has decided it did not want to reload all the textures. We haven't had that trouble before, but, whatever. We have an old-style Freelancer MAX and an MIS missile boat. MAX is actually a pretty big ship, still bigger than the newer Freelancer. Maybe not in length, but it is in height and width. And you can see, just relative to these other ships, just how big the damn glaive is. Oh my god. That thing's just huge. So let's go down there. We'll actually talk some hard stats about this thing. Hit points, we're only sitting at 770. That's because they haven't gone in and said any of them. They're all sitting at basically 10 hit points apart. Not uncommon. All the parts, the joints, whatever, 10 hit points. The couple of parts that's borrowed heavily from other pieces like the swing wings and the tail, those actually do have hit points, copied from the main ship. And we'll just take a look at the back of this Gladius real quick. You can see the engines, the outlets for the ducts. You can see, well, not really, we're not high enough, but you can see just sort of the tail. That's definitely borrowed in the Saber. The Saber is a kit bash. That means it is basically a whole bunch of parts thrown together from other shit, and I mean that is perfectly fine. It's a good way of, saving engineering effort to do something, not just in games, in any aspect of life. You don't want to have to put work in to do the same shit twice. There is an unsealed edge. You can see I'm kind of bouncing on it on this wingtip. It will throw you all the way across the hangar. We're not going to play with that long, so CIG, you definitely need to check your unsealed edges, your 3D modelers anyway. We'll talk about the paint job. It's black, matte charcoal gray with red pinstripe. Obviously, this was done in Austin, and obviously, it was done by a Dale Earnhardt fan.
Up front, there ought to be a man in black.
I mean, this shit couldn't be any more Dale Earnhardt. If you just, go ahead and just license this ship, write BF Goodrich on the side of it.
I wear it for the sick and lonely old, for the reckless ones whose bad trip left them cold.
This is some Dale Earnhardt NASCAR shit right here. Just get this 42 off of here, put a 3 on it, right? Come on, guys. So good looking paint job. Classic color scheme. Kind of wish I could see this in white, like Jay Leno always jokes about, talking about cars and car design. You don't know what it looks like till you see it in white, because you can't hide anything. And I would be interested to see this in white. So 770 hit points, so we can't really talk about where this thing stands in hit points. Let's talk about what it is. It is a stealthy ship, more so than the Hornet Ghost, because it is purpose-built as a stealth ship. And that brings me to another Gladius parallel. It's not just the same manufacturer. When the Gladius was in concept, there was a lot of development talk about the stealth version of this ship, and even references much later on in Jump Point. those references have gone away since the Gladius has been out of concept. There's never been talk of it. They don't, I mean, nobody speaks of it that's a developer. It's not referenced anywhere else anymore that we know of. So I always really wanted one. So I guess, is this what that became? You know, did we get rid of a variant of that to sell a brand new ship? Who knows? You know, I mean, it makes financial sense, but, you know, you can always just make a black colored Gladius and change the modifiers, you know, for EM, the signature, all that stuff. It's just little modifiers. You could always change that, but, or you could just sell a new ship. And I kind of think that's what they've done here. So I don't say that negatively, you know, entirely, but it is what it is. So we have the tail here, obviously influenced a lot by the Gladius. You're going to see on the thrusters, they all come from the Gladius. You know, this thing has almost the firepower of a Hornet, more so than a Gladius as far as gun firepower goes. It's sort of an in-between, you know, and it remains to be seen where this thing is going to actually sit between them. Good view inside the cockpit. Pretty interesting looking cockpit. Let's actually go ahead and get in it. I don't like how this ladder comes out. I don't care for the colored canopy on this, the Gladius or the Glaive, and then you look out of it and it's normal colors. I like the layout. I don't like how high this is over the shoulders and the arms. It cuts visibility. I really wish that I could move this camera around for you guys. I just can't. It's just the nature of the beast. Can't move it around. You know, I can even bring my mouse up, nothing. So, but visibility problems, you know, I'm not a fan as any combat pilot. I don't like anything in my way. I don't like these struts. To me, they serve no purpose. This could be curved glass. This is serving no purpose. I don't like how high this is on the shoulders. Serves no purpose. You know, we have really big visibility issues looking over the shoulders and behind. You know, if you always have this camera, it's not that big a deal, but I play with a TrackIr. I know a lot of gimbaled pilots, you know, visibility and combat awareness and, you know, being able to pick a target out easily, it's a big deal. It really is a big deal. And I want to be able to see. And this is kind of getting in the way of that. It's also a little bit high for me in the middle. I can live with that. So we'll go outside the ship. I am sorry I forget the name of the person that did this, but somebody on Reddit and on the main Facebook group, when this was in concept, you know, had a side-by-side of this ship and then this ship with the variable geometry wings deleted. Man, does it look better without these wings. That's a clear case of a designer did something that they just put shit in to put shit in, you know. It would look great without that. You'd still have a nice blend. You could even blend that body out a little bit wider. I think it would look a lot better. Let's talk about maneuverability. This ship weighs 18,000 kilograms. And by the way, Star Citizen, not Newtonian physics. Let's just get that out of the way right now. It's not Newtonian physics, guys. But 18,000 kilograms on this ship. The Gladius is 16,000. A regular Hornet's 22,000. A Super Hornet is 27,000 with the 2 turrets on it. So, you know, we're basically have most of the firepower gun-wise as a Super Hornet and weigh 9,000 kilograms less. That's a big deal, guys. That is a really big deal. So, you know, 2,000 kilograms more than the Gladius. We retain the Gladius's major, we'll just call them powertrain, all the thrusters and everything. We have 8 thrusters, 4 fixed, 4 rotational, directly off the Gladius. Positioning and layout may not be quite as good, but they are on here, and weights are similar. The main engine, CIG forgot to install, so we don't know what that's going to be yet. It's all powered by 3 of the Gladius's power plants, and we know that's pretty massive. The Gladius has really big power plants, at least, you know, after a few rounds of balance into them. There's still quite enough power to run a Gladius, and this has even one more. We have 2 coolers, again, both taken off the Gladius. The avionics, taken off the Gladius. you know, this ship's basically a Gladius. I mean, let's call it what it is, guys. The countermeasures taken off the Gladius, and they're firing Origin chaff and flares. The shielding. So we don't know about hit points yet, but we can talk about shielding. This thing has 4 size 3 shields, and that is not a typo. That is not a game file typo, guys. 4 size 3 shields. And they are shitty size 3 shields, though. They're the ASAS solo shields off the Gladius. So we're talking 3,600 hit points per shield. Average for size 3 is about 4,400 hit points. Most size 3 shields are all 52 to 5,400. So shield for shield, this thing doesn't have a lot, but you know, we've got 4 shields, guys. 14,400 hit points worth of total shields on 4 shield bases for the shield. So, you know, that's pretty big. A size 4 shield, the average is 7,200 hit points right now, as of right now, for 1.3, 2.0, and 2.1. The balance has not changed, not at all. So, you know, we've doubled up on a size 4 shield for this ship. That is absolutely freaking massive. Now, will that carry on? It's really hard to say. We know stealth ships are going to have stealthier components, you know, lower power, that kind of thing. So, you know, hard to say. But it is what it is. You know, that's a lot of shields, a lot of potential shields. You know, even if you want to give up stealth for just more shielding. You know, this top profile is just so wide. It does look good. Side profiles, pretty standard fare. I mean, this front, though, my God, look how small that Gladius is. Look how freaking big this is. This is bigger than a Hornet by far. This thing's just huge. Oh, my God. I mean, you know, I would almost even make the case the Glaive is a smaller profile, just because it has fewer parts. But, you know, wow, that profile is just absolutely massive. So we don't know about missiles. Missiles go in this bay right here, and it's a pretty big missile bay. So I'm definitely, this thing will have more of a missile punch than a Hornet. You know, Hornets have small internal bays, so that's why they only hold size 1 missiles. That's a pretty big bay inside this thing. I mean, you could fit size 3 missiles physically in this. You could fit maybe a pair of size 5s in here. Those would be like the mini torpedoes on the Gladiator, what's currently fitted in the Retaliator and the Connie as placeholders. But you could fit a pair of those in there, or a lot of size 2 or size 1 missiles. So I'm really looking forward to see just how many they can cram in there, because there's a lot of room for that. Let's talk about guns. The guns are going to be this ship's bread and butter. And we do have to, we're talking about armament, we really need to compare with the Super Hornet. We need to compare against the Gladius also. The Gladius on the missiles, people think this is like a lightly armed fighter. It is certainly not. It's absolutely armed to the teeth. A pair of size 3 mounts and a pair of size 2 mounts for missiles. You can have 8 size 2 missiles. That's a big loadout, okay? You're getting pretty close to a bomber strike with 8 size 2. I mean, that's really getting up there. You're closing in on the Gladiator. You're just missing torpedoes. And yet, here's the thing. That's if you load up with the dual mount size 2 missile mounts. The Gladius has quad mount size 2 missiles that fit on size 2 racks. Aegis has quad size 2 missile racks. And just let that sink in. Gladius is with 16 size 2 missiles. Guys, that's a big payload. That's not a lightly armed ship. We know the nose gun, you know, is confirmed. It's going up to size 3 so that it can, you know, trade with the Avenger, again from Aegis. The wing mounts for Squadron 42 are already both size 2 gimbaled mounts. So size 3 mount with a size 3 gimbal. So, you know, will that carry over to the Civi version? Don't know, but that's what it is. So, I mean, you could potentially have a Gladius with 3 size 3 guns and 16 size 2 missiles, or 2 size 3 missiles and 8 size 2 missiles. That's a lot. That's a big punch. So the Saber, you know, I'm really not, I don't know. I mean, you could cram a lot of missiles in that. I don't think you could get 16 size 2 missiles in there without being pretty liberal. But, never say never. Let's talk about the guns, bread and butter on this ship. This ship was sold with 4 size 3 guns. It does not have that. Absolutely does not have that. It has a pair of size 3 guns, a size 3 Panthers, and a pair of size 2 Bulldogs. We'll go the wing guns first. I find these very odd. It's a minimum size 2 mount, maximum size 4 mount. It's holding a size 4 gimbal, 2 gimbal, a size 3 Panther. Say that 10 times fast, right? But it's very odd because these are gimbal mounts. This thing has 15 degrees of depression. That means it can aim down 15 degrees. It can elevate 5 degrees. It can aim up 5 degrees. That's really odd because if you were to actually just look at this, there is more room to aim up than there is down. I mean, there's a good 70 degrees you could aim this gun up, and there's nothing physically stopping that. But aiming it down, the back end of that gun is going to hit the top end of the little blended body there. And frankly, I don't even know why that's there, but I didn't design it. So that's very strange. Horizontally, left and right, this thing can shoot plus and minus 10 degrees. So, real life examples, I mean, MiG-27, internal cannons fire down at a little bit of an angle so they can do a shallower dive strafing, but, not really a thing in Star Citizen. The whole ground support, just not really a thing. Don't understand it. Another odd thing, these nose mounts, they are gimbaled. They are a minimum size 2, maximum size 3. So they have a size 3 gimbal mount and a size 2 Badger. Again, really odd with the range of the cone of fire here, the range of motion. These things can pitch plus and minus 30 degrees. Plus and minus 30 degrees. I mean, there is interference written all over that. I mean, come on, guys. There's just positions where you're going to hit. I mean, you can't have that. Yaw, left and right. This is insane. Plus and minus 90 degrees. So, you can have technically you can fire one gun sideways. Which is odd because, again, even underneath the ship, you can see there are clipping issues even going sideways. A little hard to zoom in because of my field of view, but yeah, I mean, those cones of fire are just crazy. I mean, there's physical interference on that, and then in other areas there's no interference, and you wonder, why is this limited? So really strange. Most pilots are going to be running a pair of fixed size 3s and a pair of fixed size 4s, at least when they do more balancing, because as it stands, 1.3, 2.0, 2.1, size 4 weapons are just pointless. They're trivial amounts better than size 2 counterparts, so, I don't know. Just hard to say right now, but you get most of the firepower of a Super Hornet on something that is obviously more maneuverable. It's obviously going to be faster. I'll take it. Maneuverability. If they'll ever unnerf the flight models again, there's a lot of work that needs to be done on that again. And it's actually gotten worse. Goloth has put up some videos of this PTU showing increasingly new errors and incorrect input versus output of the quote-unquote new flight model, which is not impressed. It impresses people that didn't fly. It did not impress many of the combat pilots in the game. Took a lot of the skill away from that. Anyway, but a pretty good looking ship. Not a lot else to talk about as far as stats wise. I mean, basically everything comes from a Gladius. You can put size 4 and size 3 on it, but it's not for gimbaled size 3 guns like it was originally going to be sold as. Hit point wise, I think is going to be the most interesting thing about this ship. man, that profile is just massive. God, you have to wonder. I mean, that's enough firepower, forward firepower, to make that profile worth it. But man, if it was any less, it would not be worth it. Not at all. But you got to wonder about these hit points because you don't. I wish CIG would scale hit points off of ship mass and part mass, but they don't. The formula, however they derive that, is some arbitrary function. I can't explain it. It's just purely arbitrary. It always has been, probably always will be. Um, you know, the Gladius weighs 16,000 kilograms. I don't know. This is 18,000. I think it should sit about where it'll. The Avenger has more hit points than a Gladius, despite being sort of the same ish combat role, same ish overall size. But the Avenger has substantially more hit points than a Gladius. I would imagine the Saber falls between the Avenger and the Hornet, if not equals the Hornet in hit points. This is, again, a stealth ship, not quote unquote a brawler as it would be, not the heavily armed heavy fighter. Of course, neither is the Hornets. They're not heavy fighters. They're medium fighters. This would certainly qualify as that. But the Hornets, several of the ships have base armor already applied. They have since day one. The Aurora LNs, the 325A, all the Hornets, and the Mustang Delta all already have armor applied as a base value. The values don't do a lot right now. They should tune those. This I could see having the same hit points but no armor or very little armor. And then down the road, armor values for, actual heavily armed combat ships like the Delta, 325A, the Hornets, all of them, not just the Super Hornets. I could see their armor values being increased more to actually be more meaningful. But anyway, I could definitely. I would be disappointed if this is hit points where the Gladius is, because the Gladius is just glass. It is pretty pitiful how few hit points that thing has, how few hit points in critical areas it has. And you can say the same as on the Glaive and the Scythe, but even the Gladius isn't that bad off. But yeah, I definitely think this thing will, fly almost as good as the Gladius. Definitely have more firepower. Obviously has more shields. I can easily see it having more base hit points like a Hornet until they really start playing with armor ever again. So I think that'll be kind of the role. And as a stealth ship, pretty interesting. So, will it be the do-all? I think being a do-all on this ship is really going to be how many hit points it physically has. Not just shields, but actual physical hit points. And hit points, you don't have to kill the whole ship to kill a ship. You don't have to kill every single hit point in it. You just have to kill critical parts of the ship. Power plants, your cockpit, the player, the main section of the fuselage. That's the kind of stuff you have to kill to kill a ship. I don't like this angle they have. This very cambered down angle on that. I'm sorry, but I've been flying and building and designing my own RC planes for shit since I was 7, and I'm 32 now. So fix that shit. I mean, no, you don't have that angle on there. That's just embarrassing. Yeah, you come on, guys. Yeah, no, you don't do that. That's bad. That's bad. That's a slap on the wrist. But while we're being picky, hey, my opinion, I don't care if people agree. It's what I think. This strake in front of this engine, I don't know why this is here. I'm sorry, this is not an F-18, an F-16. It doesn't need a strake. Why would you want to disrupt the airflow into an engine? I mean, wow, it serves no purpose. I mean, 29th century, I'm pretty sure we don't need that there to support the wing. So, and the same reason, line of reasoning, I don't understand these gimbaled guns on the outside. They can only they can only turn plus and minus 10 degrees. If you were to take these guns, see if I can get a good angle. You know what, we'll get back out, take a look at it. And we just hop out. And we turn back around, and it's magically back like it was. But if you were to actually just take this gun and move it out a little bit more, you would give it more room to gimbal to the sides. So to me, it's too close to the engine for no reason whatsoever. It can be moved out. You would just be removing a physical limitation there. So, but overall, I'm pretty happy with it. Pretty good for a kit bash. I wish the wings weren't there. I don't like the canopy. I don't like these strakes. I don't like this gun placement. I don't understand the values they've put in for the gimbals. That seems odd. I would reorganize the canopy. And this is just, you know, talking from a usability standpoint, you know, not, I mean, a real engineer wouldn't do this shit. I'm sorry. You know, this is just an artist. And, you know, that kind of goes with it. You know, an artist is going to do what they're going to do. Yeah, but I wouldn't do that. But overall, I'm pretty happy with it. Really interested to see how the roll of this ship pans out between this, the Gladius, the Hornet. It'll be really interesting to see how this goes against a glaive. If they ever decide to make the glaive not the largest steaming pile of shit that has ever been in Arena Commander, and actually gets worse every single patch. So, you know, that glaive is supposed to be able to dominate that F7C or F7M, a Super Hornet, and it couldn't kill a paperweight. And yet it can get killed by anything, and it maneuvers like ass. So it's you know, it'll be interesting to see how these four ships go between each other. Because these are four dedicated combat ships. There's no multi-role in this shit. This is stuff built purely to fight. You know, that's just where it is. That's where we'll leave it. You know, where are the hit points going to be on this ship? How maneuverable will it be? What are the missiles going to be? And really, the maneuverability we kind of already know. So thruster layout isn't quite as good as the Gladius, but you know, it's good enough. So how many hit points it is? What kind of missiles are we talking, CIG? Get to it, fix whatever's up. Let's see this thing flying. It'd be nice to have this thing flying in a week. I mean, I know if we pulled it out right now, it'd fly. So, you know, what's holding us up, guys? Let's get on it. Get on the ball. Fix it. Let's go. Get this stuff before January. Or maybe not. Maybe I guess after January. But anywho, everybody have a Merry Christmas. That's pretty much a lot of rambling and, you know, 3 o'clock in the morning. So that's it. Go Dale Earnhardt. Peace.